For BWYellowJackets.com, I'm Brendan Gulick as we get ready for the OAC Tournament in women's lacrosse. And head coach Nicholle St. Pierre is with us to talk about her team playing extremely well here at the tail end of the season. Let's dive into where you were a month ago. It was tough. There were some tough games. Some games that were a little lopsided, some games that were really close that you just couldn't come through on. At one point you had lost 5 of 6, and now you've won 6 of 7. And really started to move things in the right direction. What did going through that period in the middle of the season do for you as you look back on it now?
Well, one, I guess I didn't think of it number-wise that way, but I definitely think with the strength of schedule that we had this year from last year, I mean, as much as we had those tough games, we knew that moving forward we wouldn't see those tough games as much, especially in our conference. We just knew that we needed to be ready when we saw the top conference opponents. And so the strength of schedule was huge for us, even though it may have hurt us. Like you said, 5 of the 6 games we lost. But in the end, it really helped us for the better.
Well, you certainly have put on a clinic here in the OAC, and as the season went along, you seemed to rise to the occasion in some of those suspenseful, dramatic, tough moments. Are there any moments that stand out to you in particular as the last couple of weeks started to evolve where you maybe thought to yourself, you know what, maybe we do have a chance to make a good run at this here?
I definitely think it hits home, I guess, when we were playing John Carroll and just being able to finish. I mean, we came up with a heartbreak loss against Worcester in double overtime, and we just couldn't finish. We had opportunities to finish that game, and so I think John Carroll was the turning point for us to be able to, I mean, we had seconds to go and they could have tied it back up and we would have been back in overtime. So for us to finish a game on top was really important, and I think that was a huge turning point for our season. Boy,
that was such a thrilling game, so much fun to watch, and it was white knuckle time for the last couple minutes, no doubt. So the OAC tournament's set, and the 4 teams this year are Mount Union, Capital, BW, and John Carroll, and 4 teams that frankly are all capable of winning the tournament. You draw a Capital team whose only loss in the regular season was their regular season finale to Mount Union, who went undefeated in the league this year. And frankly, the league has kind of run through Mount Union in the sense that they've won the title a whole bunch. So they've got the big target on their back. How much is that, kind of driving your team? Hey, we've been there over and over again historically, and certainly since you've been here. Do they look at it that way, or is it just kind of a new season and you see what you got?
I think they know. I think this is probably a newer season from even last year. I think last year we thought we couldn't be in it, and this year we definitely understand that we had high points and low points versus the top people in the conference, and it wasn't because they were better than us. They were just better in a different aspect of the game come that time. So we didn't play a complete game. So they are understanding that a little bit better, and that's a big difference maker, is that we can stay in these games.
Well, one of the big things I think that helps you guys is the fact that you almost played a de facto playoff game in the last game of your season, because it would have had to come down to a goal differential, and who knows how that would have played out, because you were playing one of the other teams that you could have potentially been tied with. You had a little bit of the upper hand in knowing that if you won the game, you were going to get in. Anything in particular from that game on Saturday when you played Otterbein that showed you that this team was ready to compete this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very emotional game for us. It was our senior day, and emotions took the best of us. It was 8-6 at one point, so we really had to look ourselves in the face right then and there and play BW Lacrosse at that moment, and so we really kicked it into gear and came out with a 14-18 victory.
Does it bother you or matter to you at all that you're on the road versus at home in the tournament?
No, I think it's nice. I mean, we traveled to Capital already, and I think it's a game that we really wanted to get back. 8 going into halftime of that game, 8-6, and then there is an 8-period span where we just let them score 8 goals. And so I think that this is going to be a nice setup because we want this game back. Looking back, I think this is probably one of the only games that we really want back to have a redo at.
And how about if I write the headline for you? If I tell you at the end of the week that BW wins the OAC championship, if that's going to happen, why do you think that would be the case? What strengths do you think your team is going to excel at this week that could propel you to an OAC championship?
I think we're at the point where we know what it takes to have a complete game. We've come up strong defensively, but have struggled a little bit offensively, and vice versa, where we've been really strong on offense and kind of weak on the defense. And so I think they're finally coming together. While yes, it's taken all season for us to have a complete game, because I think they're ready for it. They know that we can compete, and they are so hungry for this.
Well, you just need to be peaking at this time of year. So no matter how it gets here, the fact that you're here is certainly a good thing. The expectation is that you'll have a semifinal game on Wednesday, and if you win, you'll have a championship game Saturday, which theoretically could be here if there are a couple of seed upsets, although you never know how things are going to shake out. How difficult is it to stay locked in on just playing Wednesday's game and not trying to look forward, knowing that this team has had a lot of success the last several years?
I think we just understand that Wednesday could be the last day. It's not that we need to look forward. I mean, we need to take care of Wednesday before we can even get to Saturday. And so the girls understand that. Like we said, this potentially may be our last practice today, and it hit home, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the concept that we can't think about Saturday before we finish Wednesday.
You know, Mount Union, Capital, BW, and John Carroll. One of those four is going to win the OAC tournament. Maybe it's the Yellow Jackets. We'll find out. Good luck.
Thanks.